for this Ramadan. Ramadan's coming on around the 10th of March. So we've still got, just under 3 weeks to get ourselves ready and get ourselves prepared and in the right frame of mind. Just like when somebody takes part in the Olympics or a big competition, they don't just rock up on the day, do they? They train well in advance. Sometimes they train 4 years in advance just to get themselves ready and in peak condition for the Olympics. So that's like our Olympics in religion. Yeah, Ramadan is when we prepare ourselves. So inshallah ta'ala, really looking forward to today and looking forward to having a good discussion. We had some really good contributions from the young people yesterday.
Yeah. Do you want to start, Ustad? I'm going to put up the PowerPoint, inshallah.
Okay. Yeah, let's make a start.
Bismillah.
Okay.
All right.
Bismillah.
Give me a second.
Yeah, go ahead. Okay. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, as-salatu was-salam ala rasulillah, Nabiyyina Muhammad, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Jazakumullahu khairan. So let's make a start at the beginning. The title for yesterday and today is Ramadan of the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Yes, if you go to the next slide. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran did tell us, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. Uswatun hasana means an excellent example or the best example. Now, sometimes people think the example of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ means dressing like the Prophet ﷺ, looking like the Prophet ﷺ. It's much, much bigger than that. It's about your whole lifestyle. And when it comes to Ramadan, we should be looking at how the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was in Ramadan. Now, yesterday we did discuss how many Ramadans did the Prophet ﷺ fast. Use the chat facility if you can. How many Ramadans did the Prophet ﷺ use to fast? Yes, well done, well done. Malik, Nusayba, Hadiya, 9 Ramadans from the second year after Hijri till the Prophet ﷺ passed away. He fasted 9 Ramadans. And in fact, the Battle of Badr, the companions of the Prophet ﷺ were fasting, and right until the battlefield, that's when the Prophet ﷺ ordered them to break their fast. So first thing I wanted to say about the Prophet ﷺ is that he used to look forward to Ramadan, look forward. The companions, 6 months in advance of Ramadan, they used to be making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept their Ramadan. And 6 months after Ramadan, they would make dua. 6 months before Ramadan, they would make dua that Allah gives them life until Ramadan. And 6 months after Ramadan, they were making dua that Allah accepts their worship. Okay, so try and look forward to Ramadan with a very positive mindset. We spoke yesterday about people being hangry, hungry, and because they're hungry, they get angry. And that word has been invented called hangry. And unfortunately, some Muslims are like that in Ramadan. Because they're hungry, they get quite angry and quite irritable. But we should have a very positive mindset about Ramadan, looking forward to Ramadan, excited about Ramadan, and wanting to show our best version of ourselves to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the month of Ramadan. Okay, so the Prophet ﷺ, one way he used to prepare for Ramadan is to fast in the month of Sha'ban. And we're currently in the month of Sha'ban. We're coming close to the middle of Sha'ban. So you should try with your family, if you can, to condition yourself for Ramadan by doing at least one optional fast. Yeah. So if you can, do at least one optional fast. Now, I've got a lovely hadith here where the Prophet ﷺ said, Sha'ban, it is a month people disregard. That is between Rajab and Ramadan. In that month, deeds are presented to the Lord of the worlds. So I like my deeds to be presented while I am fasting. And Aisha radiallahu anha said that the Prophet ﷺ used to fast almost the whole of Sha'ban. So if we can just fast at least one optional fast in Ramadan, and you might want to get your family to get together and to do an optional fast in Ramadan just to condition yourself. What we don't want is for you to reach Ramadan and your body to have a really big shock because you haven't fasted the whole year. So if you can, if it's possible, then do one optional fast. It might be in the weekend, or it could be any regular day. but you'll find that it really has a great effect on you when you start getting ready for Ramadan with some optional fasting. Now, does anybody know what are the days of optional fasting that you can do? Does anybody know what are the days of optional fasting that you can do? Okay, Nusayba had her hand up. So can we go to Nusayba? And I can see Adam and Hamza, they've got some answers. Hadiya, mashallah. But let's hear from Nusayba. Tayyiba's got an answer as well. So Ustad Faris, could you unmute Nusayba?
So one optional fast is the 13th, 14th, and 15th of every month, like the middle, called the month, called the white days.
MashaAllah. MashaAllah, excellent. A lot of people don't know about that. I'm really impressed, Nusayba, MashaAllah. These are called Ayyamul Bid, or the white days. This is when the moon is at its fullest and it kind of lights up the night sky because it's so bright. It's called Ayyamul Bid, the 13th, 14th, and 15th of every Islamic month, the middle of the month. And you can tell by just looking up at the sky, when the moon is fully round, that's the middle of the month. So it's sunnah to fast on those 3 days. And a lot of you correctly said Mondays and Thursdays. Okay, Mondays and Thursdays. I wonder if you've noticed a pattern here, that the days of recommended fasting are also the days when your good deeds are presented to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In fact, all your deeds are presented to Allah. And the Prophet ﷺ said, I like to be fasting when my deeds are presented to Allah. So we have a daily accounting, a weekly accounting, and a yearly accounting, where our deeds are presented before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they're presented by angels at Fajr and Asr time to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These are our actions. They're also presented twice a week on Mondays and Thursdays to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they're also presented annually in the month of Sha'ban. All of these times, the Monday and Thursday and the Sha'ban, are days of recommended fasting. Okay? So if we can, it's a great idea to do that. Okay? Now, the Prophet ﷺ, we mentioned this yesterday, that he was very keen, or in the month of Ramadan, there used to be a big effect on his character. The Prophet ﷺ was already the best person, the best human being, when it came to his akhlaq. But in the month of Ramadan, Ustad Faris, if you just leave it on that slide, that would be fine. So in the month of Ramadan, his character used to improve above even the very high standards that he had. Now, we discussed this yesterday, and the reason for that was because he used to meet Jibreel every evening, and they would revise the Qur'an together. Now, there is a hadith, Ibn Abbas, one of the nephews of the Prophet ﷺ, where he says, كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أجود الناس وكان أجود ما يكون في رمضان. The Prophet ﷺ was the best of people in worship and character, but in Ramadan he would increase in good. Okay, and this was because حين يلقاه جبريل, because he used to meet Jibreel every evening, and they would revise the Quran together. Okay, so the purpose of fasting, we said yesterday, was to gain taqwa. And there is a verse in Surah Al-Baqarah which you can see there. يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الصِّيَامُ كَمَا كُتِبَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. So taqwa means to be mindful of God. It's sometimes called God consciousness. And it comes from the word wiqaya, which means to put between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's punishment and anger a shield. So wiqaya comes from the word shield. And that's where taqwa is derived from. It's a very powerful word, taqwa, which sometimes translated as fear of God, fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but it's a lot more than just fear. It's being mindful about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, knowing and having a reverence and fear for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in your heart. And it's protecting yourself from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's punishment and anger by following His instructions and following His religion. Now, it's very important in the month of Ramadan that we really be very serious about improving our character. Yeah, people should notice, just like the companions of the Prophet ﷺ noticed that the Prophet ﷺ's excellent character improved even more in Ramadan. People should notice that our character is improving. We shouldn't be hangry where we get all kind of nasty and irritated because we're hungry. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Man lam yada' qawl az-zur wal 'amal bihi wal jahla falaysa lillahi hajatun an yada'a ta'amahu wa sharabah." The Prophet ﷺ said, whoever does not give up false statements, telling lies and evil actions and speaking bad words to others, Allah is in no need of him giving up his or her food and drink. Okay, if you're not prepared to improve your character in Ramadan, there's not really any point you fasting. Okay, you should still fast. You should always fast because that's obligatory. It's a pillar of Islam. But you've got to have an idea in your mind that, look, I'm going to improve as a person. My character will improve. I'll be a better person. And by being a better person, people will realize what a special month Ramadan is. Now, some people, even from other religions, they like to fast in Ramadan. Has anybody ever come across that? Put your hands up if you've come across somebody from another religion fasting in the month of Ramadan. Could be maybe a friend, could be a teacher. Okay, we've got quite a few hands up. Ustad Faris, could you choose somebody and unmute them so they can tell us their experience?
There's just some people. There's just some people from school that even if they're not Muslim, they're like Muslim friends and they'll fast with them.
Wow, mashallah, that's excellent. Do you know what? It's so powerful, the atmosphere in Ramadan. Yeah, people want to be part of that atmosphere. Yeah, they feel that something special going on here. This is not like a regular month. People are really having a special experience. They're getting closer to God. They're getting closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They have this really special brotherhood between them or sisterhood, and they want to be part of that. Yeah. Hiba, it's not just Christians. It could be anyone. Yeah, it could be anyone who want to be part of it. Sometimes it's teachers. Yeah, when like a lot of students are Muslim and they're fasting, and teachers want to kind of be part of that experience, then they might be fasting. Could be your non-Muslim friends, and a lot of people who become Muslim, their journey starts with fasting Ramadan. Okay, so make it a special experience because you don't know your example and your character. And your actions in Ramadan, it could inspire somebody to fast in Ramadan who's not Muslim, and that could inspire them to become Muslim. So it's a very, very big responsibility, and try and be the best version of yourself in Ramadan so you can inspire other people to consider fasting themselves and perhaps even becoming Muslim themselves. Okay. Right, so now, what else do we know about the Prophet ﷺ in the month of Ramadan? Ustad Faris, could you go to the next slide? The writing's a bit small. This is another verse in Surah Al-Baqarah, and interestingly enough, there's 4 verses about fasting in Ramadan, and this one is in between the verses about fasting. And in this verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي عَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ أُجِيبُ دَعْوَةَ الدَّاعِ إِذَا دَعَنْ فَلْيَسْتَجِيبُوا لِي وَلْيُؤْمِنُوا بِي لَعَلَّهُمْ يَرْشُدُونَ. When my servants ask you concerning me, O Prophet, I am truly near. I respond to the one who prays when they call upon me, so let them respond with obedience to me and believe in me. Now, the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, they came to the Prophet ﷺ and they said, when we make dua, should we raise our voices or should we make dua secretly? And this verse was revealed. And it's a very, very important verse, but it speaks purely about dua. Now, guys, you were thinking very deeply yesterday, so I'd like you to think deeply again. Why do you think it's the case that in between the verses about fasting, there is a verse telling us to make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone? Why do you think that is? What's the connection between fasting and dua?
We have Nusayba Ahmed.
Okay. Yeah, what's the connection between fasting and dua?
Well, when a person is fasting, their dua will be accepted because it's a time where your relationship with Allah is strong.
MashaAllah. And there is a very special time when the Prophet Sallalahu himself said that your dua will be accepted. Do you know when that is, Nusayba?
Is it like, before iftar?
Very good, excellent. MashaAllah. Just before iftar at Maghrib time is the special time when your dua is definitely accepted. So throughout the whole time when you're fasting, the Prophet ﷺ said, 3 people, their dua is always accepted, and one of them is a fasting person. But especially when the time of fasting, breaking the fast approaches, okay? So this is like a hint, a big hint from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when he puts a verse about dua in between the verses of fasting to emphasize that he will listen to your dua, he will accept your dua, he will respond to your dua while you are fasting. Okay, start Farid. Should we go to the next one? Okay, so now one of the big challenges that people face is regarding school. Yeah, and there was a question yesterday about school. There's various different things that happen in school which make young people question, should they be fasting or not? And one of the questions was about exams. Yeah, should I fast if I've got important exams, might that affect my performance? Well, one thing I did say is that, in fact, fasting improves your performance. If you look at some of the philosophers of the past, when they would do their deep thinking and their deep lessons, they would actually be fasting. Yeah. Okay, Adam says fasting in school. What did he say there? Yeah, I think that's quite an important comment.
Fasting in school is not so hard. Just go to an area where no one is eating.
Yeah. Yeah, in fact, I'll be honest with you. What I found that fasting in school is easier than fasting at home. Because fasting in school, the time goes quickly because you're busy. Fasting at home, especially if you're near the dining room, you can get really tempted. Yeah. Hiba, once I almost fainted. Oh, well, if you get really unwell in school, yeah, that's why I did mention yesterday that your parents, they should send you with a bottle of water and a snack in case you get really unwell. Yeah, in case. What you don't want to do. Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish your stuff.
Yeah, so what you don't want to do is put a burden and difficulty on schools where they can't cope with you because, you're fasting and, they're not prepared for that. So your parents should send you with a snack and a bottle of water just in case, yeah, you felt really, really unwell, yeah. So then you can just break your fast if you have a legitimate excuse because you're really unwell, like Hiba mentioned, like if you're almost about to pass out, faint, yeah. So, try and remember that fasting will actually improve your levels of concentration, yeah. But providing you planned properly for it. So one of the things we spoke about yesterday is suhoor, yeah. Suhoor, that make sure you wake up for the pre-dawn meal. That'll give you a lot of energy. Make sure you remain hydrated. Drink plenty of water. Somebody mentioned there about being dehydrated, yeah. Now, one of the things, especially in the Asian subcontinent, we've got quite a bad habit, is that when we open our fast, we like to have a lot of fried food, yeah? Samosa, pakore, all these kind of things. Now, because we kind of really enjoy these kind of foods, don't we? But not many people focus on being hydrated, okay? Instead of having soft drinks, you should be thinking about having a lot of water, yeah? Yeah, a lot of water. Even force yourself a bit to drink a lot of water, especially when you open your fast. And try and make sure your sleep patterns are good, yeah? One of the worst habits you can have is to stay up until suhoor time and then go to sleep after suhoor. It's really, really important. Sleep is as important as food and drink, yeah? So try and sleep early, yeah? Especially if you're going for Taraweeh. As soon as you get home from Taraweeh, you might have a little break, a little relaxation time. But then after that, make sure you get some decent sleep, okay? Now, this year, the fasting will begin around 4:30 to 4:45 a.m., yeah? And it will finish around 6 p.m. So inshallah, that's a really nice kind of fasting time. It's not too long. Do you remember, some of you might remember, some of you might not, but you know, a few years back, fasting was going on till like 9, 9:15. Yeah, that was a really tough fast. And then on top of that, after that, it was like 1.5 hours, 2 hours of Taraweeh. And then you come home. And I remember Taraweeh used to finish, and there might be just like 10 or 15 minutes left before Fajr starts, yeah? So these times this year, 4:45 a.m. till 6 p.m. is a nice, easy to manage times of fasting. You can get some decent sleep, yeah, get home from Taraweeh, go straight to sleep, maybe have a bit of relaxation time, then go to sleep, so you can have a good, you know, 5-6 hours of sleep before suhoor. And then after having suhoor and praying Fajr, you might want to get a bit more sleep, you know, just to freshen up for school, okay? Now, if your local school, you know, maybe they misunderstand fasting and they say, oh, look, you're not allowed to fast, then that's something your parents would have to get involved with, yeah? You wouldn't really want to get into a big argument with your teachers, so your parents would have to speak to your school and say, look, this is important. It's an important part of preparation, yeah? And I know that you don't have to fast. It's not obligatory for you until you have reached the age of maturity, until you're baligh. But like we discussed yesterday, yeah, you're not going to manage to do that all of a sudden if you haven't practiced, yeah? You do need to practice from it in advance, okay? Right, so it's very important that you prepare for this blessed month. It's important that you have a really strong connection to the Qur'an in this month, that you should be practicing your recitation of Qur'an a lot more in this month. You should have a target for yourself. Is it possible for you to finish the whole Qur'an in Ramadan? Yeah, reading 1 juz a day, yeah, around 20 pages a day. Or if it's not possible, could you read half the Qur'an? And if you're a real beginner when it comes to reading Qur'an, could you read at least 1 juz? Yeah, maybe Juz Amma, or, you know, maybe Surah Al-Baqarah, you know, a couple of juz, 2.5 juz. So set yourself an ambitious target for Ramadan. Just like the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, every evening he was reciting the Quran with the angel Jibreel. Can you imagine that? Yeah, Jibreel is the head of the angels. The Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is the head of the human beings and prophets. And they're sitting together and revising and practicing the Quran. That's so amazing. Imagine if we could be a fly on the wall, if you could just watch them or just sit in, yeah, with them. Okay, the Prophet ﷺ in Ramadan, he used to pray very long Qiyam al-Layl. And because Fajr starts quite late now, we can do that. You know, we could wake up for suhoor and also pray Qiyam al-Layl, yeah. And in Ramadan, there's a very, very special night, which is like the pinnacle of Ramadan. The best part of Ramadan is that special night. Does anybody know what that special night is? Maybe you can. Ayyan had his hand up first. Ustad Faris, can we unmute Ayyan?
Laylatul Qadr.
Very good. Laylatul Qadr. Yeah, Laylatul Qadr. Laylatul Qadr, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Khayrun min alfi shahr. Better than 1,000 months, better than a lifetime of worship is Laylatul Qadr. Yeah. And any good deed you do in that month is multiplied by like a lifetime. Yeah. So it's huge reward. The Prophet ﷺ told us to look for Laylatul Qadr in the odd nights of the last 10 nights of Ramadan. So that could be the 21st, 23rd, 25th, 27th, or 29th. Yeah. But even in the whole of the last 10 nights, the even nights as well, you should try and improve yourself as much as you can. Okay, Ustad Faris. Now, we did promise the young people, that they get more time for questions. So let's have some opportunity now for questions before we go to the quiz, because I don't want to run out of time. Yeah, and I don't want them to feel that they were not heard. So if you've got a question, put your hand up. If you'd rather ask using the chat facility, you can do that as well. It's not a problem. But if you prefer to put your hand up, you can just do that. And Ustad Faris will just kind of try and get through as many people as he can. Once you've asked your question, please put your hand down as well. And that way we know how many people are left. Okay, Bismillah, Ustad Faris, do you want to start?
Well, Hiba's got a comment so far. She says there are some signs that it might be Laylatul Qadr. If the weather is not warm, not cold, then it might be Laylatul Qadr. Would you say, Ustad?
Oh, very good. Yes, very good. So Laylatul Qadr, the day after at Fajr time, there are some signs. Yeah, there is the sunrise. It has a kind of like a hazy glow, not very, very bright and not gloomy dark, but it has a kind of hazy glow. And also the night has a kind of special quality itself. Now, those scholars who specialize in this field, like especially scholars from Muslim countries, they are kind of experts in recognizing the signs of Laylatul Qadr. Also, there are some people who are given visions in terms of dreams, where they receive a dream from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that it was Laylatul Qadr, but we can't know for sure. Yeah, we can't know for sure. But very good comment there. Okay.
We have Abu Bakr and Omar, mashallah. I'm going to ask to unmute.
Okay.
If you're brushing your teeth and you swallow the toothpaste, is that breaking your fast?
Who swallows toothpaste? Who does that? Nobody's. Okay, I think you're talking about swallowing like some spit, yeah, which has a bit of toothpaste residue in it. That's not a problem at all. It's accidental, and sometimes it will happen. So that's not something which you need to worry about at all. Just try and be a little bit careful. Yeah. So some people, when they brush their teeth, I don't think any of you do it, but older generation, they definitely do it, is they like to put the toothbrush so far back in their throat that it kind of creates a puking sensation. They go, my dad used to do that as well. It's to clear the throat. Yeah, you should avoid doing that in Ramadan, yeah, because any intentional vomiting can break the fast. But brushing your teeth, not a problem at all. And obviously sometimes the saliva, you might swallow it and it might have a bit of a toothpaste taste to it from the fluoride, but that's not a problem. It doesn't break the fast. It's accidental.
We've got Tahmina Chowdhury. She wants to ask a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
If the person at Zuhur time is eating something, let's say a sandwich, and then they didn't realize that while they were eating it, they didn't realize that the time's finished. They still got a bite in their mouth. Does that break their fast for the whole day, and do they have to make it up again?
Okay, good question. Anything done accidentally obviously will not break your fast, yeah, because the Prophet ﷺ clearly mentioned about the person who forgetfully ate and drank. Then it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who caused them to eat or drink, so they just continue to fast. However, we need to be a little bit careful now that at suhoor time, especially if you've woken up a bit late, you might be rushing a little bit, and you need to be kind of careful that you don't go over the time. So try and have an idea of what the time is. Have a calendar or something up on your wall so you're not wasting time Googling and searching. Have something ready on your wall and try and stick to that, please. Yeah, don't go over the time. Now, if you go over the time, then, like a few seconds or a minute, something small like that, then nobody says that you have to make your fast stop and that your fast is not valid. Nobody says that. So that's fine. Inshallah ta'ala, your fast is valid, but try and be a bit disciplined that you don't go over the time. Yeah, try and stick to the time.
Yes. We have Nusayba Ahmed, mashallah, the inquisitive. Nusayba.
Yeah.
You know how you were saying that you know, when you're traveling, I think it was yesterday, that you can only break your fast when you reach like out of your town. But you know, like how people who are ill, they don't have to fast as well. But can you only like break your fast if there's like a certain level where you're really sick? Like, say if someone has like a fever or something and it's not that big of a deal, can they still like not fast? So if they're able to do it, like they still have to do it unless they get really.
Okay. Good question. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, فَمَنْ كَانَ مِنْكُمْ مَرِيضًا أَوْ عَلَى سَفَرٍ فَعِدَّةٌ مِّنْ أَيَّامٍ أُخَرٍ. Whoever of you is ill, whoever of you is ill or on a journey, then they can make up the days from later days. Now, this is optional, but my advice to you would be that if you can keep the fast, then you should do it, because it's always easier to fast in Ramadan than it is to fast outside of Ramadan. In Ramadan, there's like a lot of motivation, there's a lot of enthusiasm, people are all fasting together, and that can carry you forward sometimes. So it can make it easier for you. Trying to make up fasts after Ramadan can sometimes be a bit difficult. You know, you get busy, you start celebrating Eid, and then you might even forget about those fasts. So if you can fast, yeah, I would advise you, you should fast in Ramadan. But if you're on a journey, and especially you've made a decision, actually, I'm going to break the fast now, I'm not going to fast, that's not a problem as long as you're on a journey, but you should wait till you reach the kind of outer boundaries of your town. You shouldn't break your fast from when you're at home, even if you know you're going to go on a journey. Now, if you're ill, it should be a genuine illness, okay? So we're not talking about someone's got a bit of a headache, yeah? If you might have a little bit of a headache because you're up till late. Yeah, that's not an excuse for you to break your fast, okay? So we're talking about the kind of illness would make you ill enough not to go to school. That's the kind of level of illness you should have before you break your fast, inshallah. Okay, yeah, next question.
We also have Layla and little Zainab, inshallah. I want to hear what your questions are.
MashaAllah.
Does your fast still count if you don't have suhoor, or if you don't like break your fast at the end of the day?
Yeah, so if you didn't have suhoor, you still have to fast. Yeah, it's obligatory if you're old enough to fast. If you didn't wake up for suhoor, for example, you slept over, you're really tired, you didn't wake up, then you still have to fast. Yeah, and your fast is totally valid. Yeah, there's nothing, it's not as if like, oh, your fast is not accepted. No, it's totally accepted. But your reward will always be greater if you follow the Prophet Sallalahu and his guidance. And the Prophet ﷺ used to always wake up for suhoor. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Inna fi suhoori barakah." In suhoor, there is blessings. So you should always try and wake up for suhoor if you can. If you could not wake up, then you still fast, and your fast is totally valid. Now, it's not often that people delay breaking the fast because they can't wait to break the fast, yeah? But if you're in a situation where you literally got nothing with you. So, for example, you might be on a train, on a bus. There may be no Muslims around, nobody there to share dates with you or share a drink. Then you can break the fast with intention. So you can say like, okay, I have intention now that I'm not fasting because it's Maghrib time. Okay, even if you haven't eaten or drinking anything, you haven't got access to anything, then you should make an intention that I'm not fasting. And at the first opportunity you get, you open your fast, go to a shop, get a bottle of water, or, when you get home or you find some Muslims sharing dates, then you just join them. Okay, so you can break your fast with intention as well.
That actually rolls on to what Hiba says. And I've noticed a lot of people doing this. She says, does suhoor time finish 10 minutes before? And I know some people start having suhoor finish half an hour before, an hour before, just to keep safe. What would you say about that, Ustad?
No. Suhoor goes right up to the start of Adhan of Fajr. So as soon as the Mu'adhin stands up and says, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, that's the beginning of Fajr. And that's when your suhoor starts. You cannot eat anymore. No more suhoor after that. Okay. Some people, and it is a good idea. Guys, please don't write stuff on the chat facility because it keeps on coming up and disturbing everyone. Yeah. Unless you've got a question, don't write anything on the chat facility. Yeah. Okay. So Some people do like to leave like a 10-15 minute gap just to kind of wrap up, brush your teeth. That's quite a good idea. Sometimes you don't want to go right to the last minute because, you kind of might go over. So some people like to just wrap up 10 or 15 minutes. I remember in Saudi Arabia, they used to do that as well. About 10 minutes before they just sort of wrap up and brush their teeth and get ready for Fajr Salah. So that's a good idea as well, but you can go right up until the Adhan.
Very good question here from Sophia Aisha, who says, do you get reward if you fast younger than your maturity?
Oh, very good question. Okay, if you fasting and you haven't reached the age of maturity, so it's not obligatory, but you're fasting, you get the reward, but also your parents get the reward as well. So your parents, as your guardians, they will also get reward because they have kind of encouraged you or made it easy for you to fast as well. So you'll get reward and your parents will get reward.
Another person here says, what if you forget to do your fast that you were supposed to make up?
Well, you got the whole year, isn't it? So try and this is why I said it's easier to just fast in Ramadan, because it can start to get a little bit difficult. Obviously, sometimes you just cannot fast at all. So either you could be ill, or it could be that time of the month, and you have to be quite careful and keep count. Okay, it's really important. You might want to write it down. You might want to put it in your diary. That look, I got to make up like 5 days, 6 days, 7 days, 1 day, whatever. So maybe write it down to try and help you remember. Okay.
And then we'll take maybe a couple more because we got to get onto the quiz, which everyone's waiting for. What happens if you eat whilst you're fasting?
What happens if you eat? I presume you mean accident. Yeah,
I would think so too.
Yeah, if it's an accident, then we did mention that a couple of times that your fast is still valid. Okay, but we don't want to have people having big accidents. Where they suddenly go to, they go to chicken shop, they have burger, drink, wings, and then they have dessert as well. We don't want those kind of accidents, because they're not really accidents. But if a person just forgetfully has something to eat or drink, then they still carry on fasting. Their fast is valid. Abdullah mentioned stuff about intentions. So that is important. That you have to have the intention for fasting. Now, intention is really simple. It just means you know what you're doing. So, for example, let's say if Ramadan started and I'm not even, I didn't even realize Ramadan had started, but I didn't eat anything all day. I didn't, have anything to eat or drink from Fajr till Maghrib. My fast is not valid because I didn't have intention. It was just purely coincidental that it happened to be that I didn't eat or drink anything. So I do need to have intention, but that's really simple. It's just being aware. Okay, it's just being aware that you have to that you're going to fast Ramadan. Somebody asked about vomiting. Intentional vomiting breaks the fast, but accidental, you just start feeling unwell and vomit. That does not break the fast. Why do people celebrate Eid on different days? A very good question. You see, in Muslim countries, they tend to be close to the equator. The night sky is very clear, and you can see the moon clearly. So when you can see the moon clearly, then everyone in the society makes a decision that, okay, the moon has been seen for Shawwal and Eid is tomorrow. So everyone has a unified day for opening, for celebrating Eid. That's because of the weather conditions, the sky being really clear, the moon being very visible. And also usually the government has a department which kind of organizes this. There'll be an official government spokesperson, scholarly committee, and they are always checking for the moon anyway. In countries like the UK, Iceland, other places where the sky is not very clear at all, and on top of that, we don't have a central committee for the moon. Some people will follow Saudi Arabia and the Haram. Some people follow the nearest Muslim country, which is Morocco. Some people follow their own home country, which could be Pakistan or Bangladesh. or India, or could even be somewhere in Africa. So that's why we get all these different days. It's not something you need to worry about. Just make sure you are with your family. Yeah. So when the day they're celebrating Eid, you're going to be with them celebrating Eid, inshallah ta'ala. Okay, Ustad Farid, should we go to the quiz now?
I think we should go to the quiz. Jazakumullah khairan for all your
Okay,
questions. I
mashallah.
can see you all have a lot to say. So, but we do have to move on to the quiz. So
Everyone ready
Jazakumullah
with their
khair.
fingers?
Get ready, because the questions has probably made some of us forget what Ustad was speaking about. So let's go to the quiz. So day 2, question 1. We all ready? We'll launch it, inshallah. Can we all see that? Can you see that, Ustad?
Yep.
It says, what is the meaning of the Arabic word Ramadan?
Oh,
A, abstinence, B, worship, C, scorching heat, or D, hunger. So A, abstinence, B, worship, C, scorching heat, or D, hunger. We'll give you how many people have answered? 20 out of 49.
give me a
Seems
few
like some people are
seconds.
thinking carefully about that. What is the meaning of Ramadan is the question. In Arabic, that is. I cannot see. Some people say, my mum just said. Anyway,
It's actually quite a tough question. You have to know the
it
linguistics.
is. It is. So we've got about 73% answered so far. So I think a lot of people are thinking quite.
Give them a couple of seconds.
Okay, I won't be so tough on you guys. Can we get up to 80% before we end the poll? Okay, so I'm going to end the poll now.
Okay, mashallah, mashallah. Okay,
End the poll
really,
now. We share results.
yeah. It's actually probably one of the few times ever where the minority got it right. The correct answer is scorching heat.
Yes.
Scorching heat. It comes from the word Ramadan, Ra Mim Dad, and that means to become intensely hot, intensely hot. And that could be a description of the heat which is generated through fasting. Yeah, your body kind of temperature goes up. Or it could be a description of the way your sins are burnt out. So fasting, it completely obliterates your sins. It wipes out your sins. It's like burns them as if they were nothing. So it could be that reason why Ramadan has this name and this meaning. Okay, very, very tough question to start off with. Okay, let's go to the
Question
next
2.
one.
No mercy on these questions now. What happens on the first night of Ramadan? A, the devils are chained. B, the gates of hell are closed. C, the gates of paradise are open. Or D, all the above. Now think carefully, read everything before you jump into the answer. So this one we're a lot more quicker, mashallah. So what happens on the first night of Ramadan? The devils are chained is A. B, the gates of hell are closed. C, the gates of paradise are opened. Or D, all of the above. Oh, someone's opened up something, have we? Okay. We've got 80% already, mashallah. I think you guys were quick this time.
Yeah.
You guys were very, very quick. So I'm going to end the poll.
Okay, the majority have got it right. A bit of a trick question. The correct answer is all of the above. All of the above. So the devils are chained, and the gates of Jannah are flung open, and the gates of hell are closed. These are all great blessings, really, which come from the month of Ramadan. MashaAllah, very good. Well done.
Some of you jumped to it. You thought, oh, I know the first one is correct. Read all of the questions next time.
Always read. That's what the teachers always say, isn't it? Read the question carefully. Okay, next question.
All right. Question 3. What is recommended for breaking our fast? Samosas, fried chicken, Coca-Cola, and dates.
Ah, mashallah.
Mashallah. So far, let's stay on
Looking good.
100%. Let's not have no, I won't even say it just in case someone does.
MashaAllah. The correct answer, yes, well done, is dates. The Prophet ﷺ used to break his fast with dates. It's a really good question because a lot of people don't realize which dates the Prophet ﷺ used to break his fast with. So the
Yeah.
Prophet ﷺ used to break his fast with rutab. Rutab is, you sometimes see it in this country before the dates become ripe and sweet and dark brown color. They're actually like a yellow color, almost like a fruit. So this rutab stage is before it actually fully ripens, and it's very moist, and it's very good for quenching the thirst as well. So this was the type of dates that the Prophet ﷺ used to actually break his fast with.
Mashallah, mashallah. And is Ratab not the dates of Maryam alayhi salam?
Oh, yes, it's mentioned in the Quran as well, isn't it? Yeah, very good. Yeah. MashaAllah.
Okay, and we've got 2 more questions left. So question 4, everyone, get ready. On what night was the Quran revealed? Laylatul Barat, Laylatul Mi'raj, Laylatul Qadr, or Laylatul Eid?
Mm,
I think Ustad did speak about this 2 days in a row
yeah,
extensively.
yeah.
So come on, guys, don't let us down. Is it me? The questions are getting easier. We started off hard, now everyone's
It
just going
started off
through them quicker.
really, really hard. Now they're getting a little bit easier, MashaAllah.
Or maybe they're focusing very well this time.
Could be, Ustad Faris, could be.
Ooh. Okay, I'm going to end it before we get more people going astray.
All right, MashaAllah. So the correct answer is Laylatul Qadr, the night of power. This is the night where the Quran was revealed. It could be considered the beginning of revelation, or it could be in the heavens where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the Quran from Al-Lawh al-Mahfuz, the preserved tablet, to the lowest heaven. Okay, so that is the night, Laylatul Qadr.
Okay, and the last question for today. Make sure everyone's ready. The last question for today. Let's launch it. Laylatul Qadr is the value of 1,000 months. How many years is that? Is it 53.3 years, 63.3 years, 73.3 years, or 83.3 years? So
what a hard maths question.
It is. This one is right on Ustad Sahel's field.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if he's the one that had come up with this
No,
idea.
I didn't make up that question, no.
So get your calculations out, or maybe some of your parents have been in enough lectures in lifetime they might be able to shout out the answer to you.
Mm.
So yeah, we're slightly slower in this one. In the last few questions, we're at 80% already.
Mm.
That means some of you brought the calculators out.
Oh, mashallah.
All right, let's get above 80%. When in doubt, just sometimes go with the majority. Should we end there?
Yep.
Okay. Share answers. Everybody went with D or start to hell, 83.3 years.
Yeah, but yeah, when you work out 1,000 months, that's 83.3 years, which is basically a full lifetime. But Allah didn't say is equivalent. Allah said khayrun, which means better than. We actually don't know.
Yeah.
Laylatul Qadr could be like better
Than
than
a million
1,000 years, could be unlimited. Yeah, it's just 1,000 years, just like an arbitrary reference point. It's just to give you a rough idea. But it could be like 10 times that. So alhamdulillah, it's a lot of you, most of you got the right answer there.
Yeah, mashallah. It's a very good point that you mentioned. It's better than that. We do get stuck up on getting the accurate month answer.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's the last question. And then
sure.
I think we'll start. Akhtar had a question. Let's see from yesterday. Let's see who's going to answer this question now. So this is not one of the quiz questions. It's just to see how many of you will. How many of you are planning to fast this Ramadan? I plan to fast every day, inshallah. I plan to fast some days, inshallah. I plan to fast on the weekends. Good. Sorry, I can't fast any days. It's Ramadan. At least do an hour. And we'll see if it's different from yesterday, if more of you are more encouraged now after these last 2 days.
Well. Yeah, good. So the percentage has increased, mashallah. Mashallah. So it's 88 kind of percent now are saying they're either going to fast every day or they're going to fast some of the days. That's a very, very good sign. Inshallah, it shows that you're taking your Ramadan very seriously, that you want to be the best version of yourself in Ramadan. And this is This is a very, very important habit that you develop when you're young, especially. You see, some people who didn't take Ramadan seriously when they were young, it gets more and more difficult for them when they get older. If
Yeah.
you've got that youthful energy and you've got those good habits from when you were young, then it really does help you. So very pleased to hear that. Very pleased to see that so many people will be fasting, inshallah ta'ala. Ustad
Inshallah.
Faris, now it's going to be one of our favorite times. It's when we all give our salams. Were there any questions left in the chat facility? Because we don't want to leave anyone disappointed.
Any questions? Let's see. There were some good ones. Someone made a very good comment, which I thought. Someone said, it was a comment very far up where they said, "Can you believe we don't know the date of Laylatul Qadr because two guys were arguing?"
Yes, yes.
Someone
I
really
saw that
wanted to know the
comment.
date.
Yeah, but you know what? This is qadr of Allah. Allah does not want us to focus on one night alone. Imagine if we knew
Absolutely.
exactly. Yeah, all of us being lazy by nature, we would have just ignore the other days and just fast on that one day and worship Allah on that one day. Allah doesn't want us. Allah wants us to improve as a whole throughout Ramadan. So it's very good reflection, though. MashaAllah.
Yes.
Okay. Shall we have everyone now, Ustad Faris, giving their salams? If you take them all off mute, we're going to have an almighty salam just before. Okay.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Look at Ayani.
Dina Rayyan. Zayden Laith. Oh, Zayden Laith. You guys get online. Yan. Amina. Abu Bakr. Alaikum salam. Tayyiba. Alicia. Yahya.
MashaAllah.
Zaydan. MashaAllah.
Okay, walaikum salam.
Walaikum salam. Yusuf, Alicia. Layan. You like that name, Layan? MashaAllah. Malik. Yahya.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum
Walaikum
salam.
salam.
Tayyiba. I like that name, MashaAllah. Walaikum salam. Walaikum salam. Walaikum salam. Jazakumullah khairan. Ilyas, your PC. Walaikum salam. We'll see you next time. Walaikum salam. Take care. Walaikum salam. Walaikum salam.